All right, good evening, guys. In this video, I will be discussing aerodynamics and safety of slow flight. I'll go over the basics of slow flight, risks associated with slow flight, and I'll also briefly cover stalls and safety procedures. Unfortunately, I'm not flying this semester, but I do have some flight time in a few single-engine planes. Many of you are flying this semester, and by now I'm sure you have done at least some slow flight practice. One of the most important phases of flight, which is landing, is done in the slow flight configuration. So it is very important that you are comfortable with knowing how the aircraft responds and how quickly it responds at such slow airspeeds, and what you have to do to get the right movements at such slow airspeeds. So at high airspeeds, you have a lot of air flowing over the airfoil, which makes slight input to the flight controls very effective, and how quickly and how far the aircraft moves because of those inputs. But at slow speeds and in slow flight, you don't have as much air, so it takes a little bit longer and more movement of the flight controls to get the same desired input and where you're going to be going. So if you have practiced slow flight, you'll notice, or you have noticed, that there's a very mushy feeling to the flight controls, and this is because there's not as much air flowing over, so it's going to take a little bit longer for the aircraft to get to that angle of bank or to that pitch that you want it to get to during slow flight. And this makes it very easy to get behind on the aircraft, which means basically once you realize you've gone too far, you have to correct for that, and you end up overcorrecting over and over and over, and it's a very dangerous situation to get yourself into. And overcorrecting. So it's very important that you know how the aircraft reacts and controls in slow flight configuration. And it's also very important to stay ahead of the aircraft, so where you know where it's going to be and what it's going to be doing in a few seconds from now. In slow flight, you're often maintaining a very high angle of attack, which leaves you very vulnerable to a stall. So make sure you're always keeping track of your airspeed and that you're not exceeding the critical angle of attack. The high angle of attack and the very low airspeed can often go together to create a very hazardous situation to where you can stall the aircraft, which leads me to my next point, is some safety procedures I found. I found these from atpflightschools.com, and here are some of the biggest points I got from the safety procedures for slow flight. So first, what you want to do is select an altitude that will allow recovery. What they suggested was no lower than 1,500 feet above ground level. So you have at least 1,500 feet to recover the aircraft in case it does stall. And then make sure you always perform your pre-maneuver checklist. Make sure everything's functioning the right way, so that when you are slow, you know that the airplane is going to be safe. And make sure you perform your clearing turn so that you know the area is clear. You're not going to bump into another plane. That would be very bad. You don't want that happening. And then to get into slow flight, pull back on the power slowly, and then slowly increase pitch to maintain altitude while your airspeed is decreasing. And then for leaving slow flight, once you've been in there, you've practiced for a little bit, what you want to do is smoothly apply full power to the aircraft, and make sure you adjust the pitch to maintain the altitude. So you're going to try and go nose down a little bit because you're going faster, so it's creating more lift. And as your airspeed increases, make sure you take each notch of flaps out individually. So if you do it individually, it's losing a very little amount of lift each time you do it. So build your airspeed, take out a notch, and build it some more and take out the next notch. Whereas if you took them all out all at once, you would lose a ton of lift and run the potential of stalling the aircraft because of the angle of attack change, and your speed would be so low when you start that. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was very helpful. Maybe I taught you something, maybe I didn't. I don't know. But I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much.